Welcome to the bonus show, the Werewolf by Night bonus show, that is. I'm Jacob Balcom.
I'm Matt Howell.
Yeah, so we have a lot to talk about. We watched a movie called Wolf Blood, A Tale from the Forest. That is a silent film from 1925. The earliest surviving werewolf film. There was a film called The Werewolf that was from 1913, I think, that there's documentation of, about the plot, about different things. It actually had a female werewolf, but that film has been lost. So this is the earliest surviving werewolf film that you can get, called Wolf Blood.
Yeah, and it's a shame that the werewolf is lost, because the plot synopsis sounds interesting. That's a Native
awesome.
American female who is scorned or
I know, like,
seeking vengeance for some wrong.
Yeah, it sounds so badass, but I forget what percentage of films, like of silent films. I honestly think 85% are lost.
Well over 50%, yes.
Yeah, it's shockingly high, just because they weren't well taken care of.
Yeah,
and
nitrate.
Nitrate film is it's a finite lifespan.
Yeah, it often bursts into flame as it decomposes, and they also didn't think that this stuff was going to be important. This was much like comics were in the early days. They thought this was disposable media. Yep. People pile in, you ship around the country, a few prints of this, you rake in a few $1,000, and then you move on and make another one.
Yep.
They didn't think anybody would want to see this in 100 years. How wrong they were.
They were totally wrong.
They didn't know us.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, so I found this just doing, just Googling stuff I do. You know how I do.
I know.
And I love silent film. I read some comments kind of saying, like, this is, if you're expecting a werewolf movie, you'll be disappointed. It's pretty slow, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's no talking, that kind of shit. So it's like, first of all, I love silent films. I've talked on the show several times about how I grew up. My dad was a collector, an enthusiast of old movies, and he was a musician. So I grew up watching silent films with a live piano accompaniment. So it's my bread and butter to watch this stuff. So I have no problem watching silent movies. I don't get bored, and I don't check out.
Nope, me neither.
Right on. And this one, the one I watched on YouTube, you can find this on archive.org and download it for free, or you can watch it on YouTube. There's several files up. The one I watched, one file had several thousands, like tens of thousands of views, and one had like hundreds. I watched the hundreds one just because I happened to click on that randomly, and it had tinting for night and day in different scenes, which I always love, which was, originally part of the theatrical run back in the day. And it had a decent score. Some modern music for when the city scenes happen and stuff like that. And whatever, it seemed okay. So I watched that one.
Yeah, I think I watched the same one just because it looked like a better print than the one that had like 15,000 views or something like that. Because you and I have watched enough silent film to realize, like, oh, that's probably really cheap. That's probably a Kino version of something. Yeah. And
Kino, thanks for trying.
Thanks for trying, Kino. You did the bare minimum.
Yeah. So I watched this last night.
Me too.
And I was stone sober, because I definitely was like, if I've had some weed or something like that, I might drift away from the story a little bit. I'm aware of my limitations as a human. Mm-hmm. I actually enjoyed it a lot. I was totally into it the whole time.
I loved this movie.
Okay,
now, right off the top, okay, this is less of a werewolf horror film and more of a Western romance.
Yep.
Which I love. I love that shit. But I honestly felt like this was done pretty well. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel if we saw a first release theatrical print of this with someone playing piano that really knew their cues and really understood and didn't just play Charleston when they're all dancing and stuff, you know, which the versions that you're going to see on YouTube are going to use very rote type, old-timey type stuff. But I was really impressed with this. I felt the acting was really good. You and I feel like this movie hits a lot of sweet spots for you and I, because we love romance stuff. both of us grew up as children in small towns that had logging as a giant history of those towns. You Coos Bay, me Sandy, and so I don't know. I find it hard to kind of explain sometimes to my fairly liberally minded friends who didn't grow up like we did, and be like, oh, when I see a semi carrying a bunch of like logs, it just makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And at first they don't understand. I'm like, no. A well-managed forest is a really beautiful thing. Like, you can do that. It's a renewable resource, for Christ's sake. Like, it's amazing.
It's
and
better,
if you do it,
actually,
if you do it correctly, like a forest can go forever.
It also minimizes wildfires.
Yeah. And it's also, I mean, managing a forest is amazing. So yeah, I feel like both you and I grew up in communities like that. So to see this footage of loggers from 1925, it was just so badass.
Yeah,
because they're in these amazing forests, like cutting down these old growth. But don't worry, there's tons more old growth. I mean, it's not there anymore. Sorry, but I don't know. For that alone, I was just like, oh, this movie like made me deep sigh. Yeah, but I felt like the actors, like everyone in it, the story was really cool. I don't know. Yeah, right off the bat, I loved it.
Me too. I was totally entranced. First reel, I was like, okay, so we're in the supposedly Canadian deep woods. I don't know where it was actually filmed, but my grandpa Howell was in the Forestry Service. I've been obsessed with timber and forestry, and being a Pacific Northwest nut and native. One of my all-time favorite books, top 3 books, is Sometimes a Great Notion by Ken Kesey. So this is like totally my wheelhouse out of the gate. And like, that was my first thought was, I don't give a shit what the story is. Thank God somebody took a camera out in the woods and showed lumberjacks cutting down trees in 1925.
Right? How fucking awesome was that? I was just like, holy shit, this is just historical footage. Like, just watching this and seeing these old timber camps in the deep woods. Like, I would be very curious to know where this was filmed. I mean, technically, if they're operating out of LA, which not all movie studios were doing at 1925, there was still, Edison held a patent stranglehold, and a lot of movies were made on the East Coast before 1925. But I would think if this was, if this was made on the West Coast, this had to be in the Pacific Northwest, right? Like the tree. I don't know. I was really trying to do my identifying of the trees and everything like that, but I don't know. It could have been anywhere. Forests were everywhere in America in 1925. So,
true.
But I wanted it to be like where you grew up, like around, I wanted it to be the coastal range.
Yeah, I'm looking on IMDb. I was hoping there'd be location notes, but there aren't any.
I know.
Which is not surprising. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, there's hardly any info about this movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any big names in it. I feel like you and I know our silent actors and actresses fairly well, and there's no big names in this.
Can I tell you, there was a convention that threw me in the titling that I'd never seen before this film, which was you meet a character and stuff's going on, and then there's a intertitle that says, so-and-so, the boss of this timber camp, he's a big blah, 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 and his name is Dick Bannister, and blah, blah, blah. And at the bottom it says, George Chesborough, or whatever.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
I've never seen the actor's name inserted in an intertitle describing the character within the film itself before.
I don't think it's super common, but I've seen it before, and that's what it was so funny when I saw that, I was just like, I don't know. I was not stone sober watching this. I was kind of out there, and so when I saw that, I was just like, oh, isn't that nice? They just spell it out for you so you can enjoy the rest of the movie. They tell you what the character is, what his motivation is, and who played him.
No, I love that.
I was like, you know what? I don't have to fucking look on IMDb. I know. You just told me.
Yeah.
So I loved it.
I dug that. Just the convention was new to me. So there were a couple. The first time it popped up, I was like, oh, so George Chesborough, whatever. He's the guy who wrote the story, and they're quoting his book so this is text from the source, and then this is the blah blah, and it's like no, because then there's another attribution. Okay, it's not attributions. What the hell's going on? By the third one was like, oh my god, this is the actor. This is the credit, the casting credits.
Yeah,
really weird. I liked it once I got used to it, but it just totally threw me for a loop.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. So yeah, we kind of open on, it says deep in the fastness of the Canadian forests, which I loved that.
Yeah, and, I mean, that's a word, right?
Yeah.
Like, at first I thought it meant vastness. I was like, no, but fast means like steadfast, like permanent,
sturdy wilderness.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Fastness.
So cool. And so you open on this real footage of like a logging camp in the deep woods in 1925. Like, I know you and I are geeking out about this, and I don't know if anybody else is, because I don't know if they grew up in the Pacific Northwest in rural areas, but yeah, this movie was made for us, Matt. And so right off the bat, yeah, the first character we meet is Dick Bannister, who is the new field boss of the Ford Lumber Company. And yeah, we get really cool footage of loggers. And we're introduced, there's a rival company to the Ford, which is called Consolidated Lumber Company.
Fucking bastards. It's
fucking Consolidated, man, run by Jules Devereaux, bitter enemy of the Bannisters. Or of the Fords, yeah, and so this guy, the logging camp rival, is sending like armed men to wound like the lumberjacks that work for Ford, and
to snipe like
yeah, it's like fucking snipers, yeah.
And who's the stinking, he says like the bootlegger? What's his name?
Okay, his name is Jacques Lebec, and we're gonna have to realize. So they use a pretty outdated term called half-breed, and I was expecting it. They call him a half-breed a lot in this, and I was like, half what? And I'm like, they mean half French.
Oh, do they? I thought they meant half French, half native Canadian, like First Nations.
First Nations, yeah, maybe I thought so, but I mean, you're probably right. But I was just like, wait, they just mean he's half French? I was like, oh yeah, guy.
It's bad enough he's Canadian, but he's half French.
Oh,
too.
French for half. Oh God. Yeah,
no, but I'm pretty sure he was half native, half French.
Okay, so half First Nations, half like Quebec. Type of but he speaks with a really exaggerated French accent,
much like in comic books,
much like in all comic books. So yeah, he's a bootlegger, the most
Zilliper
is a notorious bootlegger who sells hooch to old Pop Hadley, the wood guard for the Ford Company. As you were saying, like, as it's introducing all these characters, I thought it was so fluid because it introduces the characters in how they interact with each other.
I know.
It was so cool.
Once I got it, I was totally into it.
Oh, it was so neat. And so, yeah, you meet old Pop Hadley, who's drinking Lebec's hooch, who I think he said it's 50% TNT and 50% paint thinner. and it figures largely in the story.
It does.
Like it's a big deal. But we get a big reveal at this point where we find out that the owner of the Ford Lumber Company is actually a young flapper named Edith Ford. And we kind of cut to her.
E. Ford is actually Edith.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty badass. Yeah. Like it was a really cool story point. And we kind of meet her, and she's dancing, and the Charleston's playing, and everyone's flappering around, And we meet her fiance, Dr. Eugene Horton. That I thought his description was so weird. So he's like a Playboy surgeon. He's like a surgeon that never graduated.
He's a perpetual student of surgery.
Yeah.
He studies it, but he doesn't practice it.
But he's a rich kid.
Because he's rich.
Yeah, so he's just like, kind of do surgery.
So he likes to be called doctor.
Like, yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yes.
And he was a very distinctive looking dude. Like, he had this weird mustache. Like, Renee walked through the room and she's like, wow, that's a mustache. And I was like, Renee, I love it as William Faulkner in the role of a lifetime.
Got it written down in my notes. He's Lyle Lovett with a Clark Gable mustache. So yeah, no, it was Yeah, he's a great character. He figures largely into the plot as well. And so because all these lumberjacks are getting shot by the rival lumber company, they send word for the owner, E. Ford.
So Dick Bannister has been treating the men as he can in a first aid shack at the camp, but these men are getting shot in the arms and legs left and right by the Consolidated folks. So he's like, this is beyond I can't bandage these guys up anymore. No. We need to have the owner come up here and actually bring a doctor and like settle this. The law needs to come in and we need a doctor.
Yeah. So Edith and Dr. Horton show up, and then Dick Bannister, of course, is smitten with Edith because she is quite comely, as they would say in 1925. And yeah, so they have some chemistry going on, and Horton's kind of in the background being like, what's going on here? See? And so it was funny, like Edith, like Dick Bannister takes her like and shows her all the like usual things that you do when you're courting. He shows her some trees. He like tames a fawn. And
yeah. God, that shot was great.
How fucking awesome was that shot? Like, yeah, I really geeked out on a lot of these, not because they were like gorgeous, like cinema shots, but just of the wilderness of 1925.
What about that shot? Like, like when you read like, there's this perpetual, like things that came before in literature or folklore or whatever, everything was better or bigger back then, right? This falling from grace concept that we humans have. But this is like literally like he's showing her operations and saying, there's this big tree, that dude up there, he's topping this timber. He's cutting the top off to make a telephone pole or like just these trees were so fucking big. You just cut the trim the top off and you make a telephone pole of it. Like, I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I know. Just to see this old growth timber. And God, yeah, it was glorious to see this. And so, yeah, he's really courting here. Like he is pitching woo. Like, and he's doing a damn good job too. Yeah, like he's very rugged. And, he's wooing his ass off. He caught a fucking fawn and tamed it and let her pet it. Like, it was. He's totally smooth.
All right, let's talk about the clouds on the horizon.
Oh yeah. So Consolidated Lumber puts up an illegal dam, and so Dick Bannister goes to confront them. He gets beat up, makes it back to camp, but they say he has a severed artery and needs a blood transfusion.
So he gets in a fight with multiple dudes, and one of them grabs a rock and like brains him with it. So I mean, I'm not sure how he nicked an artery through that fight, but yeah, he's plus when an artery, that doesn't matter.
I know.
It's a fatal wound, and he needs emergency treatment.
Yeah, so Eugene Horton is there, and he knows that his fiance is kind of sweet on Bannister. Yeah, I think like he's totally aware of that. And then Jacques Lebec comes back in, and Horton's like, "We need your blood." And Lebec's like, "This guy just kicked me out of the camp for selling hooch. Like, fuck this guy. I'm not giving him my blood."
What's Horton's blood supposedly? I mean, they don't understand blood types yet, right? Or do they?
I mean, they totally do, right? Like, I think by 1925 they do.
And so, they would by the late 19th century.
I mean, maybe not, but Horton could have given his blood. There's probably 100 guys in the camp that could have given blood.
Right.
But nope.
Well, but Lebec's shack, they made a point of saying it's like a day's walk away.
Yeah. You're right.
They did establish that.
So Lebec says, "Fuck you. I'm not giving you my blood, but I have this wolf, and you could give him her blood." And so, yeah.
Was there weird pronoun stuff, or was I just tired? Like, I felt like Lebec kept saying she.
Yes, Lebec kept saying she,
and everyone else was saying he about the. It's not a she wolf. It's a male wolf or something.
It is a male wolf, but yeah, Lebec was referring to her as she. I don't know if it's because of his Frenchness
he's
or
a
not.
dumb.
But yeah, I don't know what it was. But yeah. So there's this wolf
with
and
a
Horton
rubber band around his mouth to keep him from like snapping and biting.
Yeah, Oh yeah. Well, they used that
markings at first. I was like, oh shit, that's like a leather strap.
Yeah, it's a leather strap, just like was used on those whatever, like Dobermans or whatever was in that Cry of the Werewolf movie that we watched. And so yeah, they have these wolves that are bound. Their muzzles are bound, And so he gets a transfusion of wolf blood.
Even though Dr. Deor says, though you can transfuse the blood of an animal into a human, there may be some properties transmitted as well that we don't fully understand yet, right? There's like this text.
Yeah,
highlighted.
I liked that. Yeah, it's funny. It's like he does his best acting, like I'm remembering right now, and then it switched to some text from a book that like said that, and he actually does that multiple times in the movie too. It goes back to that text, which cracked my shit up.
Yeah, I was married to Julia Roberts.
That's right. Briefly. So yeah, he gets a wolf blood transfusion. Dick wakes up a new man, but kind of starts to act a little strangely. And the bootlegger has told all of the lumberjacks, like, "Oh shit! Like your boss has wolf blood now. Like he's going to turn into a wolf."
So it's unclear how much of this is suggestion, how much of it is behavior, because the first title says like he's back in the field and he is interacting with people, but he's a little short with them. He's a little different. And they're distant. But then the next title says, we're not sure how much of that's like Lebec saying, yeah, he had a full transfusion. He's a wolf man now. Right?
Yeah. Well, because I think a lot of
chicken
it
egg
ends
thing.
up, yeah, it is a chicken egg thing. And it ends up being implied because what happens is that, you know, he starts to act a little bit differently, but Lebec is kind of poisoning all of his men against him, being like, oh, this guy's a wolf man, like he's going to be out of control. And then Bannister runs into the forest, disappears. Then the camp gets word that the owner of Consolidated Lumber, Devereaux, has had his throat ripped out. And so Bannister wakes up with no previous memory of like the night before, and it's just like, holy shit! Am I a werewolf?
I was stoked at this point, by the way.
Oh, I was too. And then he mentions Loup-Garou, like he's like, oh, there are tales from up north about the Loup-Garou. So I was like, oh shit, here we go.
Ginger Snaps.
Yeah.
What was the third one called? Ginger Snaps Back.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It was so I was like, oh, okay, this is good. Even though I knew it wasn't going to be a normal werewolf, I knew that wasn't really going to.
We weren't supernatural in the 1920s. That was not cool.
No, it was not cool at all. So, yeah, he doesn't know if he did it or not. He ends up, I don't know. The spoilers for a 1925 movie. He runs like to the edge of like this place called Wolf's Head Rock. And he's like, oh, I killed somebody. I'm going to kill myself. And then Edith goes and saves him with the power of her love.
So I love the way they visualized his, whatever his mania was. He saw these phantom wolves. And there's this early special effects thing where there's like several wolves superimposed over other film in the forest, but they're translucent.
Like shit.
Yeah, totally. They're like their opacity is like 60%, and so they're phantom wolves that are in his mind. I thought that was beautiful, and that stuff that with the cliff, all the I'm sure those are painted scenes, but like just gorgeous, right? I mean, like the Wolf's Head rock cliff, and it's a 1,000-foot drop, and he's like manically chasing after this pack that he feels like, I've been polluted by wolf blood. I am an animal now. I just joined my brothers and sisters, right?
Yeah. This movie was way more. I mean, I did not expect it to be this great. Like, this is something that I would expect someone to eventually try to restore and like show at the Hollywood. Like, I think this would be amazing. Like,
it was a flop at the time.
People hate it.
Yeah, people hate it, and they hate it now. Like
they hate it now actively.
They hated it when it came out, and they hate it now. And I don't get it, because I had a great time with it, and I did not check my phone like how much time is left, like I usually do with shittier films. Did. Like I was just like, I'm 100% in.
Yeah, I was completely engrossed. Like I was totally sucked into the moment, and this is a
made
film.
For these times, Jacob.
I know this was cinema. Like, I don't understand like why this gets such shitty reviews. People are like, it's not a horror movie. It's not a real werewolf. And I was just like, God damn it. Just think about the context. Think about the time. We're not going to get a wolf man until the fucking wolf man.
Yeah.
Like that's just not, that's 1941. It's not going to happen.
Or I guess Werewolf of London. But,
yeah, Werewolf in London is 35. So yeah.
But still, I mean, this dealt with like the, again, the 20s, all horror and suspense stuff in the 20s and teens was based on psychological aspects. It was more about like mania or, hysteria or whatever, like, or someone pretending to be supernatural to manipulate people, like the Cat and the Canary or whatever. Like,
I love that.
That was called? Yeah.
Love that movie.
So this is completely in keeping with its ilk of its time. And I don't think we need to talk about the final reel, the reveal. It's, I think if you've listened to us talk about this and you're like, I'm open to a silent film and I'm open to something not being a full on werewolf with beautiful, what's the guy that did all the transformations? Perkins? Jack Pierce.
Jack Pierce.
If you don't need the Jack Pierce transformations, you can enjoy just something being a more nuanced kind of psychological thing and some beautiful cinematography of the woods. You're gonna love it.
Just the photography of the woods. Holy shit! Like it's magic to me. Like, and I know it is to you too. And I know a lot of that's our background and our upbringing, but still, just like the majesty of forests from 1925 just like brings a fucking tear to my eye. Just seeing that alone, I was just like, oh my God.
I felt totally invigorated just by that. Yeah. And I know we're biased, so.
We're totally biased in a way that I know not a lot of people are. So maybe it's that, but I would highly recommend watching this. It's free. It's on YouTube. It's an hour long. It's an hour and 7 minutes.
It's 67 minutes.
Yeah. So it's not a huge commitment. If you're not into silent films, you know what? Just try this one. I really think that I think it's a really good example of cinema at the time of something that might be forgotten. It's just something that was not a high budget, but not a low budget affair either.
Yeah.
It had special effects. This was a studio film.
Yeah. And if you're the kind of person that's like, I mean, again, I mentioned at the beginning that there was some of the general score I think might have been recycled. I'm not sure about, I don't think it was the original score for this, but like some of it felt very majestic and big when like the story was pulling in and being very taut and scary. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, I feel like this is ripe for a new scoring, a modern scoring.
Oh God, wouldn't that be great? Holy shit.
If I were to say, like, if I was going to say, watch this, but turn the volume down, I would say like something like, do you like Earth at all? Do you ever listen to Earth?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So like the bees made honey in the lion's skull or something like that. Something like Rycooter, kind of like just, I don't know, like just, I don't know what I would play, but something like that. Just like the Dead Man's soundtrack or something like that. Like
I would think the Dead Man's soundtrack, oddly enough, maybe the Sounds of Science. Oddly enough,
Yola
I think
Tango
would work. Yeah, I think
that would
the
work.
Yola Tango soundtrack would work pretty well.
Anything instrumental
I once saw John Fahey play a score live of The Thief of Baghdad at the Medicine Hat Club in North Portland. It was John Fahey with an acoustic guitar looking up at the screen and playing to The Thief of Baghdad. And it was something like that, like something that's very epic and has lots of space. Solo acoustic guitar, I think would work perfect for this.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, like Earth. Like
Earth would be great.
Medicine Hat on Alberta?
Yeah.
Oh, we played there. I love that place. God,
I know. Didn't we see Malcolmus there?
I did not. No.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. So yeah, Wolfblood, reviled film at the time, reviled now, and I loved it.
Yeah, I do not get the reviews on this. Fuck everyone. That's all I got to say about that. Fuck you if you don't like this movie.
Cool. So next up, what are we going to watch, Jacob?
Shit, what did we decide? We were going to watch a
TV movie from 1974 called Scream of the Wolf.
Scream of the Wolf, yes.
Starring Peter Graves and Clint Walker. Another thing that pegs you and I is that we are old, and we are just old enough to remember TV movies being a thing.
TV movies, love
so
them.
if you don't know, if you're younger, you don't remember. TV movies were a phenomenon that TV did when movies were getting more violent, more there's swearing, there was nudity, and people were going to the theater to watch movies and see more real life on the screen. And so networks were like, oh my God, how do we keep people here? Let's give them free movies. So they made movies and they would show them on Saturdays or Sunday nights, hopefully keeping people home and watching ads. And they are frequently unremarkable, but there's some really fucking amazing ones that came out, like Richard Matheson written ones, and this, that, and the other. So this is one of those. I've never seen it.
No, I've never seen it either, but I love TV movies. Yeah, speaking of Matheson, I mean, Jesus, Duel is a TV movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
directed by Steven Spielberg, written by Richard Matheson. Like
The Night Stalker.
Yeah, The Night Stalker.
I mean, Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. There's some really great TV movies. Gargoyles, The Norris Tapes.
Oh God,
a bunch of stuff.
Tapes.
I just absolutely love. I love the idea. So like I went through a thing this spring when I was like every Saturday night I would make a double martini and watch a horror or suspense themed TV made for TV movie Saturday nights, and just kind of tweet my thoughts and some stills. And I should get back in that because I was loving it.
You should.
Yeah, so we'll watch that. Scream of the Wolf.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait.
Peter Graves. I mean, how do you get? There's nothing wrong
Gotta
with
love that. Holy shit.
Cool. So I would love to hear what people thought about Wolf Blood.
Yeah, right. I
feel
hope
like
someone watches it.
Yeah, I hope so too. And it's free. And I showed a bunch because it's public domain. So we got dinged last week for using the trailer for Wolf Cop. So
what?
Yeah, just
That's
the
a bunch
visuals,
of
no audio.
What the fuck? We're commenting on it.
I know.
That's
it's
a bunch of bullshit.
I just don't want to fight. I'm tired. So I should have just done a horizontal flip and done a mirror backwards thing, but
like I don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, so tired. So let's move on to part 2 of the Urge to Scourge. Oh yes, they call him the Scourge. He's got a villain killing urge. If there's a baddie around, the Scourge will mow him down. So play a funeral dirge. Yeah! I hope people are enjoying this. I would love to hear feedback on this. If you hate it, I get it. I can abandon it. But right now, I'm kind of digging it. And we're on part 2, which is The Thing, his solo series that started in 1983. And this is from issue 24, the second appearance of the Scourge. Okay, so quickly, these are quick recaps. So I don't know much about The Thing, honestly. I know he had a solo book and he does that and he wore wrestling clothes. But this starts off and the Rhino is being transferred out of Project Pegasus. And he's going to be cured of his condition of having his skin affixed to his body. So he's stoked about it. And so he's moving on. And meanwhile, we cut to Ben Grimm, and he's at a bus station buying a ticket to Ticonderoga. He wants to go out to Project Pegasus from New York City. He's pissed off. Alicia has left him and started dating Johnny. And Reed had a chance to fix his condition and chose not to, apparently. And behind him in line is this very funny-looking dude who is the Master Miracle Man, who first appeared in FF number 4, I guess.
Yeah.
And he is a circus magician guy who basically just hypnotizes people and makes them see things he wants them to see. So he made the FF run around New York and fight all these fires and do all the stuff that wasn't happening. And so, look at him. He's ridiculous. He looks like Hammerhead meets Namor meets Dracula.
That's a really good description, by the way.
So I guess he had this basic hypnosis power and then he augmented it. We'll check this out. This great flashback page here shows his history. So he fought them in 4, and then in Fantastic Four 138, he met the Chimazwa tribe and got magical powers through a Native American tribe and became even more powerful. And then he somehow inadvertently stole the dark soul from Damon Hellstrom and became more imbued with power. And the defenders beat him and exercised that from him. So he's been powerless. The Chimozwa Indians took back their power. Damon Hellstrom's power came back. So now he's powerless. And he has some other adventures that I'm not going to go into here, but he's on a bus to Ticonderoga with Ben Grimm. As you can see here, he's like, holy shit, there's the thing. And we see this guy next to Ben Grimm who looks like John Byrne's like nightmare hippie. So they're hanging out, and Miracle Man's trying not to get Ben Grimm's attention. He's not sure if he's like following him. And this hippie dude's like, hey, excuse me, cousin. Couldn't help but noticing. And Ben's like, God damn it.
God damn it.
They sure assimilating gobs of that useless information from the sports pages. He says, what are you getting at, Arlo? Which makes me laugh. And I love that this hippie looks like some Kirby Forever People guy, right? Like this shitty mustache and huge beard.
He does. It's like if the Allfather was a hippie.
Yeah. And he's like, so, hey, you want to play a game of Trivial Pursuit? He's like, no. And apparently Trivial Pursuit was new in 1985, or one of this was.
Okay.
He's like, I have a copy of the game right here in my knapsack. He's like, God damn it.
Is this some
First I get
product
mutated.
placement? Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So Ben's like, first I get mutated in this big orange thing, and now I got to deal with this fucking hippie. He's like, you go first because you're bigger than me. Okay, the question is, what is the skipper's full name on Gilligan's Island? Ben's like about to lose his shit. And he's talking about, God, my girlfriend dumped me, blah, blah. And so the hippie gets mad. He's like, well, if you don't want to play, Gramps, why didn't you just tell me? I mean, I can take a hint, blah, blah, blah. He's putting the game back in his knapsack. And Mastermind's looking at him. He's like, all right, so I got to make my move here. And here's his move. Project Pegasus was transporting Rhino to get help to remove his exoskeleton. While this bus is passing him, Miracle Man hypnotizes the bus's driver, makes him pull over. He gets out. He hypnotizes the Pegasus driver, and then he uses his powers on this really cool panel here and makes the bus or the Project Pegasus thing crash. Rhino comes out. He needs Rhino to get, I believe, a talisman to give him back his Miracle Man powers.
Okay.
So this is going on, and there's this funny scene where he says, Rhino, over here. And Rhino's like, huh? He's like, come to me. I am your liberator. He's like, Libba. So Rhino has no idea what's going on. He puts the whammy on him because he can hypnotize people, makes him attack the Greyhound bus. He does that. The bus, everyone gets off the bus except for Ben. He goes rolling down the hill. There's the weird hippie and Miracle Man and everybody watching going, oh no. And Miracle Man's stoked. Ben Grimm's been hypnotized. He was sitting on the bus reading the paper, and he wakes up. It's like, what the fuck? So he's furious. He jumps out of this rolling down thing saying it's clobbering time. Climbs back up. The Rhino attacks him under Miracle Man's sway. There's a good little showdown here. Good art. They're fighting. And then all of a sudden the Rhino wakes up. He's like, wait, what the hell? Like once he gets rocked by the thing, he's like, oh, somebody hypnotized me. I have him manipulated. They're fighting. And in the background, the Miracle Man's saying, yes, yes, yes. It was me. You can help me do this stuff. And Rhino's like, what? And he doesn't want to do it. And then the hippie comes up. And
hippie with a gun.
He says, you tempt disaster by resisting, Rhino. It is I who control your fate. And the hippie says, no. Who? It is I who control your fate, Miracle Man. The young bohemian? I have little time for. Wrong. You have no time. Boom, spack. Ah! Justice is served. And that wakes the Rhino up. He's like, did I hear gunfire? What just happened? And sure enough, Miracle Man is dead.
Yeah.
And Rhino wakes up, realizes, oh my God, they're going to blame me for this. I was just trying to cure myself so I can stop being a criminal. He splits. He and the Thing have a whole showdown. The Thing feels bad because he totally sympathizes. And he sends him back to Project Pegasus. And he's hopefully going to get cured at some point. And that is this part 2 of the Urge to Scourge. What do you think about that?
I liked it. Scourge is laying waste. He's slowly getting rid of all these minor Marvel characters.
I love the hippie.
The hippie's awesome.
And I love that the Scourge sits on a bus to kill Miracle Man. And his seatmate is Ben Grimm, the Thing of the Fantastic Four, and he is not deterred or swayed. He's like, no, I got this. I can.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to play Trivial Pursuit?
It's like, sure, I'm in.
I don't know why that made me laugh so hard.
Yeah, it's funny.
I like the art in that one a lot.
Yeah, the art looked really like a lot more Silver Age than I'm used to from that early 80s thing, or mid 80s at this point, right?
Yeah, like very like John Byrne looking like hippie guy. I don't know why I'm trying to think who drew this. This was Michael Carlin wrote it, and Ron Wilson did the breakdowns. I love Ron Wilson.
All right.
And Joe Sinnott did the finishes. So
Jesus, that's why it looks Silver Agey. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
So another one down. So we have Bag Lady and Bohemian.
Yeah. Bohemian
Bus Rider. And I honestly thought about making a whole video of like this whole thing, but it takes up most of the issue, which I liked, because the last one was just like he showed up out of nowhere, shot somebody, and disappeared.
No, this is the entire issue.
Yeah, he's tied up in this whole thing. And like I said, he's invested in this beard, literally and figuratively, of being a hippie who is just there to ride a bus, man.
And maybe play Trivial Pursuit.
Maybe play this new game that everybody's loving. What's your problem? Yeah, and he blows this guy away. Fascinating. And I just love the little hints, like just like that Miracle Man was this kind of throwaway early Kirby Lee villain. And then he became like this Native American spiritually powered villain, like more powerful. And then he absorbed Damon Hellstrom's Dark Soul and became that's God powered for a while.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. So it was fun. It was what I'm loving so far about just two parts in is like, this is showing me stuff I didn't know about the Marvel universe. Like just little weird glimpses and like diving in and microscoping it up and then pulling back out. So yeah, I'm going to keep a score going of like different guises that he uses. So far it's Bag Lady and Young Bohemian.
Young Bohemian.
What's going on with you, friend?
Oh, me, just trying to survive here in Southern Oregon. I've been enjoying the new Amazon series, Paper Girls. I've been waiting for this for years, since they said they were starting to develop it, because I'm a huge fan of the Brian K. Vaughan and Cliff Chiang series, which I got from the very first issue. I loved it. I own every single floppy of it. Like I love it. Yeah, it was done a while ago.
How long did it go?
40 issues, I think, right around there.
I read the first 2 trades.
Yeah,
when they came out, and I loved them. And just kind of told everybody I talked to, like, you should pick up Paper Girls if you don't think you like comics. That whole thing. And then once I saw they were developing, I was like, God damn it! Like, is it just me? Like, I'm just like, no. Does everything have to be a fucking TV series or a movie? Like, why can't it just be a goddamn comic book?
I get it, but I'm kind of digging the series, and I dig
I'm sure
that
it's good.
It's good, and I like that it's people there. I knew, I was like, fuck, everyone's just going to compare it to Stranger Things, even though it came out like even a little before Stranger Things came out. Like
if you think the Duffer Brothers are original, you're sorely mistaken.
Yeah, you're really mistaken. But I like it because it's such an antidote to Stranger Things in a way. Like, it's lower budget, it's sci-fi, it's way more sci-fi.
Yeah,
there's a lot of time travel. It's so cool, and I love the way that it looks. I love how natural the series is. Like, I was actually really impressed, and this is from a property that I am very invested in. Like, I really love the series Paper Girls. I got both my kids into it. I sent them single issues like every month, and we would read it together. It was a big thing in the Belcom family. So
did Cliff Chiang do the art for the whole run?
Yeah, the entire run.
Awesome. That's so cool. I love when that happens.
Fucking awesome. And I love that they really were faithful to his designs. Like, and And casting, what is it, Jason Mantzoukas as the grandfather character.
really?
It's literally, I mean, you can't get any better casting than that. He literally looks like the guy from the comics. So it was
That's funny.
rad. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed it. So I'm with you. I'm always like, fuck, it's just going to be something that I don't like because I feel that the mediums are incongruous. Like they don't not, they have to be.
I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, why does everything have to be made into something else? Like, why can't a comic just be a beautiful piece of art for what it is as a comic in that medium? Like, why why do we need to reach out across the aisle to everybody else and say,
because it's a larger audience. It just is. And if this means that more people or kids like check out Paper Girls, then that is way fucking worth it, because I think it's one of the best modern comics. I think it's a comic, like you said, that people who say I don't like comics, it's just like, well, get the first fucking trade of this. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
Because it's amazing. And Brian K. Vaughan is a fucking genius, and he deserves all the money in the world. Him and Cliff, I just hope they got a big payday, and that something was made that was true to their vision. They were both executive producers on it. They obviously had a lot to do with it. Like, I think this is a win-win. I know a lot of times this situation, you're like, oh, fine, I guess. But this is something where obviously it's a creator-owned thing. So Vaughn and Chiang fucking cashed in, and they deserve that.
Yeah, this is not about credit. This is not about propers. This is just like that old thing of like, comic books are not storyboards for potential projects.
No, they're not. And it's completely different mediums. But I feel like this is something that if it draws attention to the original comic, I'm all for it. And it's an antidote to Stranger Things. And I like that. I was really actually fairly pleased, because I thought a lot of like mainstream news outlets would just be like, oh, it's just a Stranger Things copy. But a lot of reviews are just like you think this is a Stranger Things copy, but it's actually better. Like the reviews it's getting, I was just like, oh, holy shit, the world actually did something right for once. This is amazing.
I'll check it out with Athena.
Athena's gonna love it.
I was hoping she would like Ms. Marvel, but she's just kind of over Marvel, like the properties, the whatever.
I totally get it, but I think she would. But
she's moving into horror finally, which is like, she wanted to go see the Black Phone, so I took her to see the Black Phone with her buddy.
Oh Jesus!
So she was fucking jacked, and she's in love with one of the characters, and blah blah. She loves Stranger Things, so I think she's primed for Paper Girls.
Yeah, she totally is. I think she'll love Paper Girls.
Yeah, so good way to force her to spend time with me.
Damn right.
Yeah. Anything else going on, like reading wise? I showed you guys. I got the Rook, the first collection from the creepy archives.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I was we were moving stuff from a storage unit into a shed on Alicia's mom's backyard property, and I think I have a single issue of Rook.
Okay.
So I think that's where
the creepy, or like the Paul Gulacy, like when they picked it up decades later.
I think it's I don't know, it's actually like a Rook magazine, I thought.
Okay. Yeah, so Dark Horse put out the two archives, and they have all the serialized stuff from, I think it's Eerie.
It's Eerie,
and then they got a couple magazines that were, I think, collected in volume 2, which I haven't got yet. So Floating World Comics is closing. They're moving to Lloyd Center. So I popped in there to grab my books, and he's like, hey, do you want to buy anything physical? We're having a huge sale because we're moving to Lloyd Center. And I was just like, I thought Lloyd Center closed. And he's like, no, the reopening and rebranding, whatever. But I was like, okay, long shot. If you have the Rook Archives Volume 1, I will buy it. I guarantee you don't have it. He's like, we have it. Like, what? All right, I guess I'm buying it. So I didn't have the money budgeted, but I bought it because
that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know much about it. I haven't read it yet, but it's my understanding is it's a guy who has a time traveling device, and
he's a cowboy.
It's like I think he travels to cowboy times from the future, and he has that he jumps around time. There's robots, there's cowboys, there's a time machine.
I know. I was like, is this like a proto Buckaroo Banzai type of thing? Like, is he
Yeah.
a surgeon and a rock star as well?
Yeah, totally.
Or,
Yeah, the art's gorgeous. I forgot who it is. It's either a Filipino guy or a Spanish guy, but it's typical creepy, eerie, warrant, beautiful art. So hoping that's good. Yeah.
Cool.
I guess that's a bonus show.
Yeah, that was a good bonus show. We got a lot of shit in there.
Yeah. I think we're going to alienate a lot of people with our love of a creaky silent film.
I don't give a fuck at all. I think people should watch more silent films.
I agree.
I don't care if that's elitist.
That thread just goes through everything.
It does. It does. But I'm glad we called it out on the main show. I'm glad. I really hope that she contacts us and I get to send her buttons because I fucking love that review.
Me too. If you don't know what we're talking about, listen to the latest episode of the show.
Yeah. Who's watching this that hasn't listened to the latest episode of the show, though?
Some kind of sicko. I don't know.
Is there a sicko out there?
Making skin lamps?
Yeah. Skin
listening
lamps.
to us. Sewing skin lamps together.
Oh man. So yeah, I've scheduled the majority of our guests for this season. We got a couple real high profile ones and we got a couple we got new ones. We got buddies from our different podcasts. That's the one thing that I've loved about doing this and doing enough episodes is that we have like a pack. We have like a pack of fellow podcasters who talk about Marvel comics and different things and we have like a community now.
Yeah, it's like that scene in Anchorman when they all fight in the alley. Like they would have our backs.
They would have our backs.
Yeah. It would be like PBS and whatever. Like
yeah, it would.
CNN all behind us, not against us.
Michelle from Moonlit would take a trident and throw it at someone and kill them. Like Michelle would do that for us.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. You got to go on the lam, my friend. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been loving that too. So thank you for booking that out, by the way.
Yeah, no problem. I'm a scheduling maniac. I don't mind it at all. I love it.
Yeah. So what else we got? I think that's it.
I think that's it, man.
Get us out of here.
I think we need to close out the show by saying, may your fur never bristle in the moonlight.
Stay furry, friends. And that's the bonus show.
Well, that's a good addition. I like that.
I'm not going to use that.
You're totally going to
Crazy.